Hey guys, we're all set here. It's MontrealRocks.ca. I've got one of the super guests I've got here is DEE SNIDER. Everybody knows Dee from Twisted Sister, but I don't think a lot of people are aware, Dee, of everything you've done over the years, from a radio host that you currently have. You're the star of Broadway Rock of Ages, which was a great show. And I think you worked with Joel Hoekstra, a buddy of mine.
Yes, I did.
What else we got? You did your reality show. My God, you're in Washington. You challenged everybody in Washington over that Tipper Gore nonsense. Yeah, so just give the Canadian fans, the two fans of yours that have been living in an igloo or under a snowbank for the last 20 years. What have you been up to, man?
So I wake up one day and I come downstairs and there's a message. We're not doing what you do anymore. And I said, what do you mean you're not doing what I do? Yeah, they're not singing like you. They're not performing like you. They're not writing songs like you. They're not having bands like you. Music has moved on. And I was married, had 3 kids. I had spent all the money I made. I made a lot of money, right. And I was broke. And I was like, now what? And at that point, I started trying all kinds of things because there wasn't even a music scene for me to be a part of. So I started doing radio. I started writing screenplays. I do voiceover. I narrate a show called Breaking the Band. I don't know if anybody's seen that one up by you.
Oh yeah.
That's a show that I narrate. And I started acting. I just started trying and doing anything and everything, from the sublime to the ridiculous. And so I've done way too much reality TV. But I'm going to be directing my first movie next spring, a scary movie I wrote. I've just finished my first fictional novel, which I'm out at publishers. I've co-created a children's animated series that Peacock is developing right now. So I realized that if I can't make music, then I had to do other creative things. Mm-hmm. But now I'm making new music again as well. I'm back to creating new music.
I'm going to get into that in a bit because it's amazing. But I forgot to tell everybody as well that you've done everything and looked up to by so many, and including the late great Randy Rhoads wrote that song "D" about you. What? No, I think you're wrong. What?
Yeah. Oh, and Jethro Tull has that great part about me, and then it goes dee 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 dee. Thank you, Ian Anderson. Dee 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 dee. It's all about D.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, you got such a great sense of humor. I tell you. Tell the fans about. Well, speaking of movies, really quick, SpongeBob. He's got a movie. I don't know if it come out or it's coming out, but tell us how they tried to scam you over money. They tried to scam you over the "I Want to Rock" lyrics. Tell everybody how.
No, they didn't try to scam me.
I know. No, I'm
being but I mean, yeah. So I'll preface by saying I'm a whore, but I'm an expensive whore. Right. I got a phone call one day that SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which hadn't come out, wanted to use "I Want to Rock."
Yeah.
And my kids watch SpongeBob, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He goes, yeah, but they want to change the words to Goofy Goober Rock. Yeah. I was like, oh, give me a break. I said, what are you kidding? This is my legacy. This is my art. How much? And I was like, oh my God, do they want me to sing it? So we got 2 kids in college. I was like, this is going to pay for it. So so Goofy, I'm a Goofy Goober, baby.
I'm telling you, we're talking earlier and you asked me how I was doing. I said $1 million shy of being a millionaire. But I'm telling you, I was telling my friends today, I was saying I was going to tell them I was going to be talking to you. And I said, geez, I think he said he would moonwalk backwards across the states and sing the song for $300,000.
Hey, pay me enough. Okay. So another great, sell your soul story is we got a phone call in early 2000s. A woman's premenopausal medication wants to use. We're not going to take it. I'm like, oh my, what happened to the filthy 15? A menopausal medication. Then they told me how much they were offering. I was like, oh my God, I can't say no. I said, okay, tell me what it does.
Yeah.
Because maybe I can get behind some aspect. So they start running all those lists. Does this, does this, does this, does this. Another, I don't drink, but I told my managers, listen, I've never drank, but if a booze company is willing to pay me enough, I'll start.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm DEE SNIDER for Wacko Whiskey. I never drank until I found Wacko, and they paid me $500,000.
I love your backdrop there. You got different ones every time. I saw you in an interview the other day with our chums up in Toronto. You have skulls behind you.
Yes. This is, I just try to spice it up because what's really back there is a closet, just a brown closet. The good news is it's filled with guns and stage clothes, but but I can't really show those. So rather than have a brown closet, I'd rather be in a dungeon.
Yeah, you got to have that that visual thing. And I was thinking, DEE SNIDER, man, I got to get something cool. I can't have anything bland. The guy will kick my ass. He's like the East Coast Ted Nugent. And I shouldn't bring up anybody else, but I love you, Jay. But two more quick things, so we'll get into the new album. I know you've got tons of interviews. Your Canadian connections go deep. And let me talk about first, I don't understand it, but you have a super fan named Keith and you sent your smelly boots to him. Tell me about that.
Hey, I Febrezed them before I sent them. All right, Keith, don't lie.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really thought that after the end of 2019, I just felt like I was finished with touring and finished with recording. And I was moving on to movies and TV and creating different kinds of things. And now I've been told that nobody in my family or my management or my band believed me. But I really meant it. And when I got off the road, I knew my number one fan, Keith, up in Canada, Keith Whalen. Is it Whalen? I may always pronounce his last name a little wrong. I knew that he'd appreciate him. And I've been wearing the same boots on stage for 20 years. So I signed them, boxed them, and shipped them out.
So how do you become a super fan? Like, what does he do? Does he email you Valentine cards every year? Like, how does he get to be on the top of the list? And a Canadian at that.
He and his family travel all over the country, world, to come see me, but not just at concerts. They come to these conventions where I'm doing signing sessions, and that's where you really get to meet somebody. And so, up walks Keith and his lovely family, and you get to talk to him for a minute, and you find out. And the mom, she says, he's got a whole man cave, and he's got all of us. They're all wearing Twisted and D shirts. So, and his kids are fans, and anyway, and he just keeps showing up. So there's a handful that I know on a first name basis. Keith is one of them.
I tell you, I mean, up in Canada, we're a little bit different, but we've got laws against that, D.
Yeah. That's why they put border control up there. I thought you weren't supposed to be able to get in.
Yeah. Okay, so the next Canadian link here, and then we'll get on to this new album. And I'll tell you, for the love of metal, I'm going to tell you something about that. It's just great. But anyways, how did you get involved working with Alyssa White of Arch Enemy? And she's a Canadian.
Is she? What a talent.
Yeah, she's from Montreal, and she did that song with you, Dead Hearts.
Yeah, Dead Hearts. So on the first album with Jamey Jasta, we were looking for some guests. We had a lot of people who participated in writing, Mark Morton, Howard Jones, a lot of different people from the metal community, which was really cool for me to see. That outpouring was like they were welcoming me back. Because like I told you, I sort of felt I didn't have a place, but Jamey said, no, man, you do. And just seeing all these great people coming into the studio, contributing, it just made me feel like, hey, maybe there is a place for me here, So I had this song and wanted to have a female voice on it. And Jamey brings up Alyssa. Now, I only know her from Arch Enemy and one of the great screams, period. I don't want to cheapen it by saying a female screamer, because she holds her own with the dudes. So I said, Jamey, she's great and all, but this is a melodic song. He goes, she has a whole nother side you don't even know about. When she sent her vocal performance, I was stunned, staggered, and it gave me chills. But I mean, again, people tend to limit me as well. Like I said, I've been on Broadway. I'm part of this new project called Rock Me Amadeus Live. There's a YouTube video of me singing Love Hurts. And
Nazareth,
I'm doing it completely true to Dan McCafferty's version, clean vocal. And people are like, I didn't know you could sing like that. So they assume hey, this is what you do. I mean, hell, and I did something else on Broadway where I sang opera at one point in the show, and the audience jaws dropped when I started singing opera. So people assume all you do is the one thing, but I assume
you get stereotyped, right?
Yeah, and so Alyssa came in and just crushed it with an amazing vocal performance. She's a dear friend now, and her husband's a great friend as well. And he called me up. He said, "Dude, wait till you hear this vocal." Doyle called me. He goes, "Wait till you hear this vocal she did." He goes,
"I know that was the Everybody's got to check that out. Just a shout out to Alyssa, and I mean, you have a big fan base here in Canada.
Per capita, no place where we're more popular. Per capita,
is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I experienced the whole Beatlemania thing in Canada at the Juno Awards. I remember way back coming out, and my thing was I would always show up early and leave late. I'd always just do that, and I just So wait. Everybody leaves the place. It's the Juno Awards in '84, I think, or '85. It was 84. We were touring with Iron Maiden at the time up there, and so my manager and bodyguard go, okay, good, let's go now. So we're walking out the front door, and I see the security holding back this crazed mob of people. My reaction is, I look over my shoulder to see who's coming out. I'm going,
wow.
Then my bodyguard grabs me and goes, "It's you." And I'm like, what? They had waited. The whole place was empty, and this mob of young fans were waiting in the snow, and they throw me in the limousine. And I remember we're driving away, and kids are hanging on the car, crying. And it was the whole beat. I was like, holy crap. I'd never experienced that. As a kid, I saw the Beatles and said, whoa, that's cool. So I experienced that in Canada, that kind of passionate fandom.
Let's get to the new stuff here. And actually, semi-new, I went back and started listening to For the Love of Metal when I was at the gym today. To explain it, I'm telling you, it's from A to Z. And you can't explain Dee Snider's solo material in a cliche way. But I would say it's like from A, Canadian band Annihilator, that style. Remember Jeff Waters, to Volbeat. I mean, it's just amazing. And so you started there. And right now you're about to release, I believe it's on the 30th, the Leave a Scar.
So I'm a metal fan, day one metal fan. I had the first Sabbath album, Zeppelin album, Blue Cheer, Grand Funk. When they were released, I was one of the kids when it was hard rock. It wasn't even called metal. And I was swinging a damn sledgehammer trying to take apart the Woodstock Nation, because who really gives two craps about Country Joe and the Fish and Crosby, Stills and Nash? Yeah. That's not rock. So, and then it became metal, and I've always been a fan. And I've stayed. My kids are all metalheads. They've kept me connected to the new music, going to concerts with them, and I love metal in all its forms, and I've continued to love it. But around 1990, after a band I had called Widowmaker, I just felt like I'd overstayed my welcome, and there was no place. I had aged out, and people weren't buying what I was selling. They weren't responding to Widowmaker. I did 2 albums, and I said, all right, time for me to move on. And I moved on into radio and TV and movies and writing, all these other things. But I still love metal. I love metal. And then Twisted did reunion shows. Maybe you were at Heavy Montreal when we took the place apart that day. That was quite a good performance. But it was all playing oldies. It was oldies music. It wasn't new. Jamey Jasta of the band Hatebreed. He, on his podcast, challenges me to do a new metal record. And I said, who's producing? He said, I am. I said, who's writing? He said, everybody's going to want to write for you, D. And so I said, all right, I accept the challenge. Not having any idea what the hell is the singer of Hatebreed going to do for Dee Snider. But he said my voice was powerful. My voice was needed. And once we got in the studio, I learned that he wasn't trying to make me Hatebreed. He was trying to figure out who Dee Snider is by, old influences, new influences, bringing in some people from the outside and creating something for me. And the album went to the top 20 in the United States. It was one of the #1 metal albums in the world in 2018.
It's great. It's great album.
So, and I started touring, and people wanted to hear my new music for the first time. And I did a live record. So now it comes to 2020, middle of COVID. And I called Jamey up. I said, I'm ready to do another album, but now I'm also ready to contribute as a writer. I hadn't written anything since the 90s. And now, along with Jamey and Charlie Belmore, we wrote all the songs. Well, the first one that came out was I Gotta Rock Again.
That's right.
And that was sort of, it started as almost a joke to me, because I always would write work from song titles. That's how I always write my songs. And
Okay.
because I stopped writing in the 90s, I didn't have my list of ongoing lists. I threw it away.
Oh,
So now I just one day in the middle of COVID, I'm just like, oh, I gotta rock again. I'm like, well, if that's not a DEE SNIDER song title, I
yeah.
don't know what is. I
Yeah.
wrote it down and I said, and probably everybody's feeling this right about now. So that sort of started the whole crusade to do a new album. I gotta rock again. And then it just went from there.
Obviously, with COVID, a lot of people, I mean, they it brings out some good in people in the way that you're forced to do things that you haven't done before, i.e. writing in all those years. Having said that, anything in particular that COVID's changed in you personally? Like a lot of people I talk to, they say, you know what, it's given me patience. It's given me more appreciation for family. Like anything like that happen to you?
I've been saying to people that can't wait to go back out in 2022, because I think that's when things will finally
Me too.
really return to normal. Because even now things keep changing.
Semi-normal, as normal as it's gonna get.
Yeah, and to sing "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll" with a meaning that I never imagined when I wrote it in my 20s, in the late 70s. I never thought, I was talking about parents and teachers and people who were against heavy metal. I never thought that something would actually stop rock and roll. And that was a shock to the system, and it's all about being appreciative, give you perspective. And, don't be, nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. And, so I feel now, and again, I thought I might be retiring in 2019, but then all of a sudden I was told, well, everybody's retiring in 2020. And I'm like, wait, well, no, not so fast. So, I'm grateful that my voice is strong, that I'm physically capable, and, and why not, and if people are enjoying it, why not keep doing it,
Yeah, I like age is a number. You look great, D. Like you got kids in college now.
They're out of college. They all graduated. My oldest has got almost 40. And he's got 4 kids.
Oh, okay. So
I got grandkids. I got damn grandkids. So
the 300K is going to pay off your debt when they went to college. That's okay.
Right. Weddings, college, all that stuff. I'm not complaining. I'm blessed. But look, this a couple of things I need to share before I go, which is a song on the new record. Before I go, is that the album comes out on the 30th. You were right. Pre-orders, if you want to wake up in the morning and have your head blown off by DEE SNIDER in style, you'll pre-order it at Amazon, whatever, and it'll be right there in a download for you. I'm also doing a live stream event on the 29th. Go to metaldepartment.tv, metaldepartment.tv. You'll find the link. And on the 29th, I'm doing a live concert event, playing a bunch of new stuff from the new album, from the old albums, from Twisted Sister. Of course, it's my legacy. How could I not?
Yeah.
And I'm stoked to be in front of a live audience for the first time in 2 years.
Where's the show going to be?
It's on Long Island, which is where I rehearse. I'm from Long Island, so it's a little bit of a hometown return. And due to COVID, everything is just sort of limited. It's going to be. We've got about 1,000 people who are all either vaccinated or tested. So it's going to be it's going to be a party. But I'm so excited. That's on the 29th, but it will be repeated. Yeah. So if you go to metaldepartment.tv, you can check out the live stream event and hear some of the new music live as well. Okay.
I was speaking with Andy Curran the other day, and they did a live at the El Mocambo Coney Hatch show last year, live stream. He said there's only 50 people. It's a small venue, but he says just the energy, he was effing blown away. He says, just get back in front of people.
I have got a chance to play one show. I'm part of something called Kings of Chaos, which is a Matt Sorum all-star band kind of thing he does. And we had a show that we were supposed to do. And it's all guys from, Guns N' Roses, Rat, Sebastian's been in there. I'm in there, just all stars. And one of the shows that had been canceled, because we had a bunch of them in 2019, got rebooked. And about a couple of weeks ago, and we were like, all right, so we went out, and it was so weird. It wasn't, they were limiting the crowd, but it was enough there for a party.
Yeah,
And the energy
that's it. Yeah.
was from the band just to be out there, and from the audience, they were just so grateful just to be out and, you know what I mean, rocking again.
It's almost
Yeah.
it's almost sad to say that we feel this energy to be out there. It's like, why in the F were we lucky to be out? Like, I mean, there's so many different things that are wrong with this COVID thing, but it does put the perspective in, like, God, we got to be grateful, like you said, eh?
Yeah, it's a perspective, and I don't know anybody. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know people who were really had their lives devastated by COVID.
Oh,
And
yeah.
maybe there was plenty of people who, you know, who skated, and God bless you if you skated. You know,
Yeah.
God bless you if, hey man, I was nothing. I had it. I lost my sense of taste. No biggie. God, feel grateful that you weren't one of the ones who got hit with a sledgehammer, because some people
Yeah.
did have that happen to them. My brother, who's a non-believer, sells coffins. He's bought a new, he bought a new supercar. He bought a new mansion. He's like, yeah, man, I'm selling coffins hand over fist. I go, is there any correlation? Yeah, there's people dying, but it's not what they're making it out to be. But you bought a new mansion. Okay. So the point is, if you were blessed, feel grateful, and then the rest of us just to get back out there, and it will happen. We will have a heavy Montreal again. We will have our moments. We will rock, and DEE SNIDER will be back in Canada if they let me across the border.
We'll pull you across. We've got a narrow patch over here in St. Mary's River. We'll figure out a way to get you over here.
Okay, great. I'm there.
Okay, so
tell Keith I'm going to need my shoes.
I don't even know Keith. I mean,
he's already contacted me because I've been talking about this so much on shows, and he's like, do you need my, because he tweets, do you want your shoes back? I'm like, no, I'll get new shoes, Keith. They're yours.
I'd like to thank you again for your time, because I mean, I know you're doing interviews in and out, left and right, and just one final thing to say to your Canadian fans before I let you go.
Guys, you were one of the first to really get me, and I hope you stay with me for the ride, because I'm constantly trying to surprise you, whether I show up in Toronto with a musical that I've written. I ain't done yet. And you ain't done either. I found the fountain of youth. It's called heavy freaking metal.
You can say fucking.
Oh, heavy fucking metal. Thank you.
Nice. I love it. Okay, D.
All right, man. Take care. Good talking to you.
All right, you too. Ciao.